Hey guys, Anthony here with AC Fly Fishing. We're out here on the Upper Sacramento River on a early spring day. It's April. The weather's starting to get really nice. We're dealing with a little bit of runoff, so the rivers are high right now. And we're going to chat a little bit today, just kind of get you comfortable and kind of what to look for when you're fishing high water conditions like this during spring runoff. April and May can give us some higher than normal water, so we're gonna talk with you a little bit about how we'd approach scenarios like this. A lot of people shy away from the big water and might not think there's the fishing opportunities, but truth of the matter is there's some really good opportunities to get out and catch some fish during high water. So we're gonna get into some of the techniques that we're gonna deploy to catch some of these fish and how we're gonna go about tackling this scenario. We're gonna start off tight line nymphing, high sticking, Euro style nymphing. There's a bunch of different words for it. There's a bunch of different variations. We're gonna fish a 10.5 foot 3 weight to start here. The big thing when we're fishing big high water like this is concentrating our efforts in certain spots of the river. So the river's nuking down the middle right now. We're gonna expect the fish to not be in that really heavy water. We're gonna expect them to be on the inside soft edges. So a tight line rig like we're gonna fish here is gonna be very effective in fishing close to the bank. We don't wanna just trudge out and wade knee deep right away. We wanna stay back a little bit, and we're gonna pick the inside edges first before we wade out too far. So we're gonna be fishing a little bit of weight. We've got a couple tungsten beads and a stonefly. There's some stoneflies that are gonna be moving around early season. So that stonefly, and then we're gonna have a little dropper below that. We're gonna go over the rigging in a little bit, but that's kind of our basic setup for fishing this higher water. A heavy fly, a long leader to get it on some of these soft edges to start. We're gonna spin around and try and make a few casts and walk you through how we're gonna approach this soft edge here above us. Talking about just this tight line setup and how we're going about fishing it. So starting with the cast, it's more of a lift and flop. We don't have fly line on here. We got a really long leader, and we're not really going to be making any casts, any roll casts like we would with a conventional fly rod and fly line. We're lifting up, and more or less we're flipping the weight of the tungsten fly in there as opposed to throwing the fly line like we typically would with a standard fly rod. And there was a little bump too. We're controlling the depth and the speed at which those flies are going to make it through that current. Some spots we're going to want to accelerate them a little bit. We're going to drop the angle of the rod. Some spots we're going to want to let them fall and get down a little bit. So I'm going to lift and raise the angle of that rod. There are some subtleties to this. I really want to be able to control the speed and the depth of those flies, and through those angles of the rod, I'm going to be able to achieve that. I don't necessarily want to feel every grab. I want to be able to see it through the cider that we have tied into that leader. So different than with a tight line swing or anything else we fish on a tight line, we're gonna see that little cider material jump a little bit. So many people, they hold the rod and they don't really necessarily think about what's happening below the surface. So much of our success is going to come from understanding where exactly those flies are down there, what depth and speed they're traveling at, and what they're doing. So I want to really envision, I want to punch my vision through that surface current and really visualize and think about what those flies are going to be doing down below. There's so many conflicting currents on the surface in here. If we were to fish an indicator rig, we probably wouldn't be fishing it quite as well. We'd have too much influence from the surface currents pulling and dragging our flies through there.